passionate instigator and dynamic problem solver. Dr. Kevin Ross Emery, the host of the Dr. Kevin Radio Show, will be taking you outside the box, behind the curtain, and identifying the load of BS we are fed every day. And now, Dr. Kevin.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Thoughtful Thursday. Our Thoughtful Thursday is thoughtful every second Thursday of the month. Thoughtful Thursday means we have none other than this spectacularly fabulous Lori Powers-Otto and myself sharing inspiring, motivating, and hopeful stories of things that are going on in the world. This is our dedicated good news show of the month for the Dr. Kevin Show. We now, for those of you who may have missed all of the announcements, first Thursday of the month, still Matt Connerton and checking in on the political pulse of the world. Thoughtful Thursday with Lori, then the third or fourth, whatever is closest to the change of the astrological sign, we have astrologer Rob Stewart. Lori graciously returns and plays with us during that time. And we look at the upcoming astrological forecast for the month. And then whatever Thursdays are left, well, it's a roulette wheel of guests. So, Miss Lori, how are you?
I am wonderful, Dr. Kevin. How are you?
Well, I'm fabulous, and I would like to remind our listeners that they can call in at 202-570-7057. That's 202-570-7057, and be part of the conversation. Share their own inspiring, motivating, hopeful story. This is the one show where we stay away from, no matter how realistic or true it may be, but we really try to stay away from the negativity. There's just enough of it going on in the world. So come bring your positivity, your light, your good stories, your funny stories, and share them with us as we share what we have found with you. So what's new and exciting in your life, Miss Lori?
New and exciting. Well, not a whole lot, with the lockdown. But, no, I mean, we've been spending a lot of time in our garden doing wonderful things out there. And I just cannot begin to tell anybody how much joy working in the garden brings me. The birds, the animals, the hawk and eagle each come probably once a day to say hello. I mean, it's just so wonderful. So that's what I've been focusing on. How about you?
Well, my life has stayed, has gotten from busy to busier. So I actually made the decision this week, and I've started to let the quote unquote the powers that be know in the different places that kind of promote me and put me out that I am actually taking the summer off from teaching.
Yeah.
It's been a sloggy 18 months, but from Dad's death to relocating Mother to Mother's, dementia getting, steadily worse and having to, deal with hospitals and now recently nursing homes. I just had to put her in a nursing home as she continues to decline. And being in essential service with the COVID stuff going on, I've just been jumping up levels about the amount of clients that I'm seeing, and I just had to stop. I just stopped. And here is my message to people is, for some people, they're like, oh, I'd give my ITs to go back to work, or I'd give my ITs to be busy, or I would love to, be out there or whatever. And I'm lucky that the way that my business works and the way that I help people, mine has gone crazy. And but make sure in all of your caretaking of the world, you're taking care of yourself.
Amen.
So, you can't let your own immune system get low, and you can't get exhausted. And you don't want to do things, and it's very important to me. You know, my husband Jeff, you know Jeff, he has no classes this summer, and he starts his internship in the fall, and I'm like, that's it. I'm taking off teaching, and I'm going to do so that I have more time for the whole summer, nights and weekends, for us to be together, to hang out, to enjoy the weather, to kind of relax and recoup. And I'll just load up my classes again in the fall. But I'm like, you know what? You got to make the decisions for yourself that's going to keep you healthy and sane.
Oh my God, I am so proud of you. This is so wonderful because, you know, a lot of the people who are out of work right now and being forced to stay home, they've been able to take this time to deepen their relationships and focus on their health. And that's something that you and all the other essential workers have not been able to do. So I think it's wonderful that you're going to take the summer to take care of you. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, well, I love what I do, and I love teaching, and I love my client work, and I love being able to help people, especially during these stressful times, and all the different hats I can wear and the roles that I play, and stuff like this. But, you know, I looked, and starting next week, I am consistently running 30 to 35 hours of clients a week until mid to the end of July.
Wow, that's wonderful. I mean, that's wonderful, but...
Yeah. And that's not a complaint, not bragging. It's just a fact of life. And I looked at it, and I said to Elmer, who runs all that part of my business for me with the classes and the webinars and putting stuff out, and I said, I can't do that. I need to make a choice for me, and for my marriage needs to come above me doing these like 7-8 hours of clients and 3 hours of teaching days. Just not healthy.
Right.
So anyway, I'm feeling much lighter. I'm feeling, I only made the decision like 3 or 4 days ago. I looked at my schedule, and I looked at stuff, and I said, that's it. Yep, done.
Good. But I have a question for you that I'm sure the listeners are wondering. What does that mean for the radio show?
Well, no, the radio show I'm still going to do. I'm probably, I didn't have a chance to mention it to the producer, but I just communicate with him through email. I'm probably going to take my guest slots for June, July, and August and just do replays. But I'm going to continue to do, I think it's important to do Thoughtful Thursdays. I think it's important to check in with Matt, and I think it's important to do the astrology, because I think that people look forward to hearing those things. I think bringing light in these times that can be trying is important. And, and part of it is, like, I've got a few stories, but I know you. I could turn the show over to you right now, and you could be telling good, positive, inspiring stories till the end of the show. I try to prep a few things, but I don't have to prep a lot. Rob preps everything for the astrology show. Matt preps, Matt never preps, but Matt always has a whole flow of political perspective that comes running off of him like a snow melt in springtime. And
see, I'm going to clarify and call you on that. We both know Matt.
Yep. And so the shows are easy. I'm not having to prep classwork. They're not 3 hours. So I'm gonna continue I'm gonna keep the shows. And as I'm doing now, I'm doing the show, and I'm out in the woods behind my house, and I'm walking in the woods, and I'm enjoying the beautiful day, and I'm seeing the squirrels and the chipmunks and all the animals that are happy because of all of the people that are staying home. And I'm like, it's a wonderful life.
Yes, it is. It really is.
So, yeah. You know, and I've said this in past shows, and I know you and I are really in alignment on this, but I'm going to say it again, which is do your daily gratitudes. We all have something to be grateful for. And the more things that you can remind yourself and share to be grateful for. And, you know, it's a fine line. And I just caught myself doing it earlier, Lori, which is what I was talking about, you know, being really busy with the clients and this, blah, 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 blah. And then I said, not that I'm complaining or bragging. And sometimes what I realize in a very twisted way, when people are trying to share the gratitude of what's going on in their life, sometimes it's bragging. And you can tell when somebody's like, oh, yeah, I, blah, blah. And, you know, and that can be a little obnoxious. But so what? But sometimes people are just trying to be like, hey, let's look at the wonderful things going on in my life. Like I have a fabulous marriage. I love where I live. You know, the mortgage gets paid. The house is getting refinanced. I mean, you know, the positive things. But sometimes when we share that, people try to turn that into bragging. And I go, what's wrong with that mentality that we wouldn't want to hear the good things going on in the people's lives around us?
Right.
Have you ever thought of that?
Yeah, no, I you know, it's funny because I was listening to an interview earlier today on a group that I belong to, and someone said almost the same thing. The woman said, you know, some people bristle at other people's happiness and other people's good news, but we have to remember what we put out comes back. So whenever someone shares something positive and happy in your life, even if you think they're bragging, just say, congratulations. Good for you. I'm happy for you. I'm happy you're happy. You know, what did she say? Your joy makes me smile or something like that. And I get tongue-tied on this because I don't understand people who make it a competition on who's happier. We can all be happy, and different things make different people happy.
Okay, so I'm going to try to say this without sounding snide.
Okay.
I'm going to do my best, but if I fail, I'm okay with that. Which is, if somebody is in a I'm happier, I'm luckier, I'm something more than you competition, then they're lying. Sorry.
Right.
When you're really that happy and other people are happy, it makes for more happiness and it's coming together. And the minute it gets into some kind of competition, comparative, well, I'm doing this many clients or I'm doing this much or whatever, then you know they're coming from a wound.
Right. And it's a lot of people are like, how can you stand being retired? I love helping people. I love having clients. I love teaching classes. Do you know, right now I'm loving being retired. I'm loving spending time with my husband and my dog and having life, you know, just enjoying every moment of every day that I possibly can. And, you know, like anybody, there are moments where life is not ideal, but there's so much more good in every day. And so when someone's like trying to compare and trying to bait me, it's like I just feel sorry for them. And I know that's maybe not the right response, but I send them love to, you know, because that's all you can do.
Yeah. Well, and you know, and it's so funny because in some ways it's that odd thing that we have where we can end up limiting love. Like you can't, you know, it's like you can't love more than one person, or you can't love being with clients and being retired. Yes, I can love both. Today, I love being retired. Tomorrow, a perfect client that comes together and the stars cross and destiny was fulfilled, and you start working with them, and you can love that client and working with that client tomorrow. Stop limiting love.
Exactly.
Love is like life. It flows and it shifts and it changes and it grows and it expands, and sometimes it contracts, and that's okay too.
Sometimes that's the ultimate love right there, when you have to contract for some reason. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because there is a whole thing out there, and I'm getting that we're probably going to be to borrow my producer's word, which is a favorite word of mine. We're probably going to kvetch right till the first break, and then we'll start the stories.
Okay. Wow.
But somebody mentioned to me recently, about compassion and about love. And, there's divine love and there's human love, and there's divine compassion and there's human compassion. And we don't realize how often we come from our triggers in assessing the value and quality or the limitations or demands or constrictors we put on what does it mean to be compassionate and what does it mean to be loving. And the woman I was talking to used the word ruthless compassion. I thought, well, that's interesting. I said, and I thought in my head, and it wasn't a conversation where this wove into the conversation, just because it didn't. But I was like, I bet she's talking about what I talk about when I say divine compassion. Because, divine compassion is sometimes making decisions that look like on a human level are not being compassionate when they actually are being truly compassionate. And you're choosing to love somebody by not enabling them or not supporting bad behaviors, or you're choosing to love somebody by taking care of yourself. And that sometimes we get caught up in this external judgment. And we'll be right back here in the Dr. Kevin Show on Thoughtful Thursday with Lori Powers-Otto.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others, and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part. because we're all #AloneTogether, brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey, and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes, where we're changing the world. Wait for it. One ohm at a time. And here on the Dr. Kevin Show, we are on Thoughtful Thursday with Lori Powers-Otto and myself, sharing stories about people doing thoughtful things, inspiring stories, inspirational, and we're having conversation to invite you to be more thoughtful. And on break, I realized, because I was thinking, we haven't got to the stories yet, but we're having this really good conversation, and I think it's important for our listeners. And I realized that I was limiting the definition of thoughtful. Thoughtful could be doing something thoughtful for somebody else, or it could be making somebody thoughtful in a way that helps them grow or motivates them or inspires them, not through a story, but through the conversation. And if there's anybody who can have a conversation that will make you more aware and thoughtful, it's my co-host Lori Powers-Otto. I'm just along for the ride. I'm just a comedy.
Oh yeah. I don't think anyone believes that, Dr. Kevin, but thank you. Thank you.
So anyways, is there anything else you want to say about the stuff we talked about last segment, or would you like to introduce your first story?
I think we can move along at this point, because I wanted to talk about, and everybody must know somebody by now that does this, but all the people that instead of sitting home saying, woe is me, they are making masks for the healthcare workers or gathering graduation gowns for the health care workers to wear as protective gear, or making protective eyewear and masks, plastic masks and things like that. I love that. I love how people have stepped up to the plate and they're making a positive. One girl I know, I think she's 11 or 12, that has made this her one, making masks for healthcare workers is one of her things she's doing during quarantine, between doing her schoolwork and, all the other things girls that age do. And I just think that's amazing. But, so that's everyday people, I put up a bunch of stories about, famous people and stuff like Guy Fieri is, turns out my neighbor's married to he's married to my neighbor's cousin. Hoping somehow I'll get to meet him, but that's neither here nor there. But I like Guy Fieri. If you don't watch the Food Network, you don't know what you're missing. He's got some great shows. But he took it on himself to raise over $20 million for restaurant workers. Because we know they're some of the hardest hit people out there. Their jobs are not going to come back really quickly like other, companies will. And I just think, this is a guy, he didn't have to do anything. He's not struggling, but that's what he does. He makes people's lives better every day. When he goes to a restaurant for his, any of his shows, diners, drive-ins, and dives specifically, every time he betters those people's lives. He increases their business by getting their business exposed, but he also coaches and mentors them and hooks them up with, the people they need to fulfill their dreams and build their dreams to what they want. And, but we can all do that kind of stuff. We can all share our favorite restaurant with, people, or our favorite company with people, and make connections and introduce people to people and help build, like I must know 100 people that have taken this opportunity to start that business they always wanted to start, no matter what it is, and it's all over the place, whether it's selling makeup or art or making a record album. They're all taking the time to do that now. And if we support them all and get that out there, we can help each other build our dreams up and make our dream jobs come true. And as we were watching a show last night, and it's come up several times today, that saying, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. So I want to urge people to do that. You're doing that, right?
Yep. Yep. Well, and I was just saying this the other day, and I've said it for years. When people say to me, what do you do for work? It's like, I don't do work. I do joy. I get up every day and I get paid to be me, and it doesn't get any better than that.
Exactly.
And, but so you touched on like three different stories that I had that I had side like that I'm gonna, if you'll pardon the pun, sew into yours, like a mask. We'll remove the mask. So one was this article I found about this woman, and I'm going to plead overwhelmness in a good way, but still overwhelmness that I didn't get any of these stories posted on the timeline. But if somebody actually, I get all of the stuff off the internet. So you can type in the headline and find it yourself if you really want to read the full story. One of the things was that this woman who ended up, in the during this time of quarantine and not being able to work, not only did she make all these face masks, she created for her neighborhood a Christmas tree of homemade face masks that anybody could go buy that needed one and take one. And she just keeps refilling it.
That's wonderful. See?
So she's got them all hanging like it's, like it's a Christmas tree. And it's a giveaway. And this is, and the thing is, and I try to tell this to my clients sometimes is, when you're feeling like powerless around something or out of control, or something's beyond your control, and yes, we have to learn to release and we have to learn to give in, but sometimes we also have to learn, what can we do? What can we do that makes us feel like we're doing something? Because for most of us, not everybody, but for most people, they feel better if they feel like they're at least doing something. So this woman not only is doing the tree, but she's been all that time making the mask. And it gives her something to focus on instead of sitting around and worrying. Is somebody I know going to get sick? Is somebody I know going to die? How long before I'll go back to work? Fret, anger, rally, post nasty comments on Facebook. There's so many unproductive things that people are doing during this time. Or you could take whatever remember the story a few months ago about the guy who was taking, I think it was Christmas trees, and turning them into canes that he was giving to vets that needed canes.
Yes.
And so it's like, find something, find your passion, find your talent. Earlier this winter, when I started to get run low on people that haven't already got a homemade gift from me, knitting or crocheting. It's one of the two of the things I do if I'm, relaxing when the day is over, sitting there. I started making scarves and Afghans and things to give to the homeless, because I can find it soothing to do that kind of work with my hands. And so not only do you benefit other people, which is great and fabulous, this woman's benefiting all these other people with the Christmas tree, but you're doing something that actually is almost meditative, is filling, helps you manage the anxiety of a stressful time, where posting false stories and getting into fights on Facebook or running around like Jimbo, Baba, ain't I fabulous, look at my gun I've got, screaming and hollering, that ain't doing anybody any good. It's not even doing you any good.
No.
I mean, and, what can I do to make it easier, to make it better? I read in the last day or so that, unfortunately, some of these protests in Michigan, it's probably going to respike the virus out there. And Michigan at one point was like the third highest state with cases. And they started to come down, and then all of this disruption came. And one of the things that she said, which was so true and so sad, was these protesters saying, "Oh, open it up, give me my liberties," and getting in people's faces and not practicing social distance and doing all of these things are probably going to make the shutdown have to go for longer.
Right.
It's
and
absolutely counterproductive to the goal. Go ahead.
I just don't understand how people grasp that. I really don't. I mean, if everybody had just stayed home to begin with, we might be, have flattened the curve by now. But they didn't. And
nope.
I don't know how they don't understand that they're actually causing their own grief.
So one of the other things that I saw, which I thought of based on the story that you shared about Guy Fieri, was that there was this woman that went to her favorite locally owned restaurant, and they were, doing you could pick up at the door or whatever, but it's a family-owned local restaurant. It's been around for a long time, but obviously struggling in these days and doesn't have a corporate bank account or, wasn't the first in line to get the business stimulus checks because so many of those were taken by big companies. And when she got her stimulus check, she left it as a tip for the owner. The whole thing for the restaurant.
See, how generous is that? Now, I know not everybody can afford to do that, but that is so incredibly generous because that helps so many other people.
Yep.
I know somebody who people have been bringing them food, and it was making them feel guilty. So the compromise we came up with was whenever someone brings them food, because they're elderly and they want them to stay home, that's why they're bringing them, and they have health issues and whatever. But what they're going to do every time someone brings them food is they're going to figure out how much they think it's worth, and they're going to donate that much money to the local food bank, and that way more people are benefiting from that act of someone bringing them food. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It absolutely makes sense. And again, this pay it forward, go around. I mean, this woman got a stimulus check, and for whatever reason, she could have found something to spend the money on, but she clearly didn't need the money, but she had a need to support her community, her tribe, her local family restaurant, a local family-owned restaurant. That's what she needed to do. Yeah. So now that LA started about 2 weeks ago. I think it was about 2 weeks ago. I heard that LA started a thing where they're paying restaurants to deliver meals to the elderly.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So that way the restaurants are making money, the elderly aren't having to go out for their food, and I was like, see, this is out of the box, brilliant thinking. Instead of because part of the goal here with all of this is, this money that's pouring back into the American people is to stimulate the economy. But what's happening is people are saving at an all-time high because they're so frightened. They're afraid to spend the money. So they get it, but they're holding on to it out of fear. And for some people, that's an understandable thing. But speaking about spending stimulus checks, there was a landlord in Santa Rosa, California. Him and his wife, they own. I couldn't tell whether it was a single building or a few buildings, whatever. But they have 13 tenants, and they got their stimulus check. Then they kind of like checked out their own finances. They matched what they got for a stimulus check and took that money and took $500 off the rent of every one of their tenants to give them a break for the month.
Wow. See, that's wonderful. That's amazing. How incredibly, yeah, I love that.
Yep. So, there are a lot of people, both celebrities and non-celebrities, and a lot of things going on out there, and a lot of ways in which people are finding, and here's part of it, find the way you can help. Maybe you're getting a stimulus check and you really need that stimulus check. And there are many people that are like that. There are a lot of people that live in this country that live paycheck to paycheck, that sometimes had a couple or 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet, and they, and all of those went away. But, but you can still sew a mask or help somebody, help an elderly person on your block with their yard work. Leave them a note on their door if you don't have their phone number, because in this day and age, most people don't have their neighbor's phone number. The neighborhood I moved into, Lori, you've been to my house.
Yeah.
I found out that, right after I moved in, that like the guy across the street was a widower, and he was like, but he had been living there in that house for like 54 years.
Wow.
And the people next door to me had been living in their house 52 years. The woman I bought my house from had been living in her house, and she was a widower as well. She'd been living there for 48 or 49 years. So there was this little cluster of, like long-term people that raised their kids in this neighborhood and all stuff, and, and then age and death and stuff like that, they're aging out. But I met the adult children of both the couples next door and the guy across the street. And one of the first things I did was I said, here, give me your cell phone number and take my cell phone number. And if for any reason, if anything is up and you ever need me to check on your parents, call me and I'll go do a check. If just, if we have a bad storm, if for some reason they're not answering, if you're worried, something, I said, I want you to have my phone number just in case.
That is so incredibly fun. I love that. That's what neighbors do for each other.
Well, that's when we have neighbors.
Right.
Something which is coming back with COVID. We're starting to have neighborhoods. We'll be right back with the Dr. Kevin Show.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
911, what is your emergency?
My kid shot himself.
All right, where's the wound, sir?
911, what's your emergency?
Please help. My son shot his brother.
911, what is your emergency?
911, please state your emergency.
Every day, 8 kids and teens are unintentionally killed or injured by loaded and unlocked guns.
It wasn't locked. It wasn't locked.
Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and End Family Fire.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the last segment of Thoughtful Thursday. The Thoughtful Thursday show here, or the Thoughtful Thursday show on the Dr. Kevin show here on OMTimes for the month of May. I think that was a whole bunch of words, and some of them must have been unnecessary, but it's okay. You kind of sort of got the drift. I'm here with Lori Powers-Otto. And you can call in at 202-570-7057. Again, that's 202-570-7057. And share an inspirational, motivational story, or ask either one of us a question. So before we move on to our next story, because I kind of weave 3 or 4 of my stories into your story, so I'm going to let you share something else. I'm kind of excited that next week we're getting Rob back on, and he's going to finish this whole COVID, Spanish influenza, astrology chart, what's going on in the outer planets that's changing us generationally, information he's going to share.
Yay. I'm excited. I'm really excited to hear that.
Yeah, I am too. He teased us and he gave us some of the information, but far from all of the information he dug in. So next week, you're going to have to tie me down and make me behave and let him get very quickly through the astrology forecast. Not that I want him to skip anything, so that we have more time, because sometimes I get into astrological talk with him. So it's your job. I'm assigning you the role. Make me behave.
Well, then that's a large task, but I will take that. I'm miserably, but I'll try. How's that?
You just have to go, yo, Dr. K, shut up. Yo, Dr. K, shut up.
Dr. K, that's the key. That's the code phrase. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Yo, Dr. K, shut up. Anyways, so do you have another story you would like to share? And I'll see how many sub-stories I can weave into it.
Well, I do. I mean, I have several that I wanted to put on, and it was hard to choose which one. But this one, and I know that you just saw it, but someone I know posted this post, and I didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't bring up the original poster's name. But I think that's irrelevant. Apparently, there was an older gentleman in the grocery store buying his food, and he didn't have enough money, or his card wouldn't work. They weren't sure what the problem was. And so he started to leave the store empty-handed with nothing. And the man in line behind him, at 6 feet distance, socially distancing, said, "No, sir, wait." And he paid for that man's groceries. And I just think people like that are heroes, and they're everywhere in this country. I'm hearing stories like this almost every day, where somebody's stepping up to help somebody they don't even know. There were two teenage boys, maybe 3 teenage boys at a gas station, filling the car, and they see a person buying gas, and the person only has pennies. So they're counting out how many pennies they have to see how much gas they can get. These kids get out of their car, fill this person's gas tank for them, and pay for it. Someone they've never seen before, probably will never see again. But they knew how important it can be to have a full tank of gas, or just some gas, so that you can get to your grocery store, get to your job, or get to your doctor's appointments, or whatever you need to do. And these are kids. I mean, I'm telling you, kids have stepped up in this country big time.
Well, let me tell you about. Go ahead.
No, that's it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So let me tell you about T.J. Kim. T.J. Kim, who 16 years old, he lives in Virginia, and when his school quarantined down, he had started taking flying lessons, and he used his flying lessons to start to take supplies to rural hospitals that were having shortages. And so he would pay for his lesson, and he would fly, and, his instructor would be there, but he would fly to these hospitals to bring them supplies. 16, all on his own, thought this up. Then his family joined him and started an organization, and I'm just trying to see if I can find the name, because I wrote it down. Supplies Over Skies. So after he started doing this on his own, of his own volition, his family launched their operation SOS, Supplies Over Skies, as a way of keeping busy during the shutdown while simultaneously serving others in need by delivering supplies to rural hospitals all over, like Virginia and West Virginia and Maryland, I think, the general area.
That's what we're talking about here. Everyday people doing amazingly wonderful things. Yeah.
Yep. And stepping up to the plate, and no one saying, hey, what's your religion? What's your race? What's your gender? Who did you vote for? Are you red or are you blue? They just bought the gas. They just paid for the food. They just donated the check. They put the masks on the trees. It didn't say this masks are only for people that are voting for so-and-so. They were, So this is an invitation for us to rebuild neighborhoods and rebuild communities and rebuild tribes and not let. So coming out on the 22nd will be my third in a row monthly newsletter, because I started them up again 3 months ago. I don't know. Do you get my newsletter?
I do. I signed up for them. I got one.
Okay. Okay. Well, the next one's coming out on the 22nd. And the title of this newsletter with, other information and stuff in it, but the title is, the polarities of parenting, partisan politics, and power. And, and it's really pushing to say we have a choice about how we're going to choose to grow out of this disaster, out of this mess. Are we gonna? Can we come back to having an us in the U.S. of A., or are we gonna cling to you and them, us and them? So, anyways, so that was one of my stories. So it's about this young man, very impressive. And then Rise Up New York. You talked about Guy Fieri. Did you hear about the Rise Up New York thing?
I did, but share with everybody.
Yeah, so Tina Fey hosted a virtual telethon and raised $115 million for New Yorkers that were struggling because of COVID. $115 million to help people that were struggling in COVID. And
I think that's wonderful.
What I want people to remember, and again, this is Thoughtful Thursday, and this is all about staying very positive. And so I want you to keep positively in your head who are the ones that made things better? Who are the ones that showed up and did the fundraising, did the charities? Who are the ones that were giving the masks away? Who are the ones that weren't making it a battleground? And as we move forward, remember that. Remember who they were. Remember who the ones are that if we have this battleground flare up again, and we will, mark my words, this is not done yet, you're going to know who you can count on. You're going to know who's going to be there, and therefore who you should be there for, to support. And whether that is with your donations of time or energy or money, or whether it's with your vote. Remember, who stirred the pot and who was trying to make the stew feed as many people as possible. So then there was a anonymous doctor. I love how many of these things that I find are anonymous. Like the landlord did not want to be identified. She was anonymous. But somehow somebody found one of his tenants who's been a tenant for 10 years, and she goes, I was pleased, but I was not surprised about his generosity. He has always been that kind of landlord.
Oh, that's nice.
You know? So the anonymous, you know, there are the kids, the guy that paid for the groceries, he didn't run around and post it on his Facebook and brag and say, here's me. The woman that donated her check, I didn't even see her name in the article. Maybe it was there, but it wasn't like front and center. It wasn't about her. It was about the act.
Right.
And, you know, and so as we're kind of looking at some of this stuff and about the act and the action you can take and who in action is trying to pull people together, trying to rally. Now, I saw this cute, adorable thing I have to share because I do have a guilty pleasure. That's the last thing I tend to do before I go to bed at night. And that is, I like my YouTube videos of all of the, like, Britain's Got Talent, America's Got Talent, The Voice, all of those. I like to watch the clips. I watch almost only just the singing clips. And there's always something about the fact that the majority of the singing clips that get shared are the ones who turned a chair, got through, did something. And so there's, to me, I always end my day with this very positive of seeing some 13-year-old girl who got bullied singing her heart out and getting a golden buzzer, you know, that's going to change her life forever. And having Simon Cowell come up and say, next time somebody bullies you, you remember this moment and know you will always have the last laugh. You know, I mean, so I like these. Well, last night I saw one, and it was these 12 and 13-year-old kids, and they called themselves the D-Day Juniors, and they put together this whole choir thing with photos of them and, for most of them, their grandparents, maybe even their great-grandparents, of pictures of people who were in their line, their ancestors, their relatives, who served, and some of who died in World War II. Now, this is out of Britain's Got Talent. And, of course, Britain had a lot more on-the-ground stuff going on than we did in the U.S. in World War II, unless you were in Hawaii. But these 12 and 13 years old, and their whole song and their whole thing was dedicated to never forget, always remember what they sacrificed so we would have freedom.
Oh, that's awesome. That's wonderful.
If you get a chance to see the clip, it's good. They did a great job. They would had pictures showing up of, like, their grandparents, their grandmother, grandson, grandfather, whatever, and the picture of the kid would flare up on the stage, and they did just such a great job, and they were great, fabulous singers. I mean, you know, they didn't just get through because it was sentimentally nice. They were very professional and they did a good job. But there's another one, which if you're looking for a feel-good video that will get you tons of feel-good time, there was another one and it was on Britain's Got Talent again, which I really like them because for some reason the people that go on that show over there tend to be ones that have more of a story sometimes that engages you. I don't know why. Than I see if I watch like a clip off of America's Got Talent.
Right.
But it was a choir of kids that had all varying levels of disability that were singing "This Is Me."
Aww.
And so you had there were some kids in wheelchairs, there was autistic kids, there were all these kids singing, and they did a beautiful job, but singing "This Is Me," and it brings tears to my eyes every time. Lori, I'll talk to you next week as Rob enlightens us to the greater meaning of COVID-19.
Thanks, Dr. Kevin.
Thank you. Have a good week, everybody.